Hello class, welcome back in our online discussion and this course macro perspective of tourism and hospitality. And we are still in chapter 3 about socio-cultural impact of tourism and hospitality. So we are now in the last part of this chapter. So for the recap, we have this discussion in the first part of this chapter about the cultural exchange and preservation. And in our previous discussion, we talk about the social interaction and tolerance. And now, specifically, we will talk about on this online lecture about the community development and empowerment. And we will talk specifically about the income generation and small businesses and balancing economic gains and social disruption. So again, we have this discussion in the cultural exchange and preservation about the positive and negative effects of on local cultures. We have these positive effects: cultural exchange, preservation, economic boost, revival of traditions. And for the negative effects, we talk about the cultural erosion, lose of authenticity, social impact, environmental impact. And in the previous discussion, we talk about the social interaction and tolerance. So we discussed about the social. Number one is the exposure to diversity and global perspective, and the challenges of cultural clashes. And now we will proceed to the last part of this chapter and we will talk about the community development and empowerment. So the learning objective of this specific discussion is to explore the dynamic relationship between the industry and the communities it engages with and emphasizing the responsible and sustainable practices. So today we will delve into the crucial aspect of the sociocultural impact of tourism and hospitality. And again, we will talk specifically about the community development and empowerment. So this topic explores again the dynamic relationship between the industry and the communities it engages with, and it's emphasizing the responsible and the sustainable practices. So let's begin our exploration. And we will start with the understanding the community development. So the word community development, okay, the community development, it involves fostering the growth and the well-being of a community. So in the context of tourism and hospitality, it goes beyond economic aspect to encompass social, cultural, and environmental dimensions. So it focuses on enhancing the local livelihoods, preserving cultural heritage, and promoting inclusivity. So we will talk about the importance of empowerment. So the empowerment is the integral to community development. So it's about giving communities a voice, agency, and control over decisions affecting them. So in the tourism context, it involves ensuring that the locals have opportunities for meaningful participation, also fair compensation, and the preservation of their cultural identity. So this is one of the concern of the owner of any tourism um, establishment or any hotel and resorts, that they need also to consider the community. So there must be a participation, especially on the decision making. And there must also have this fair compensation and preservation of their cultural identity. Since one of the reason why the tourists will visit a certain place because they would want also to experience the cultural practices of a certain area, and the community would like also to preserve their cultural identity, because there is a big possibility again that when there are more foreign or domestic tourists, there's a big possibility that their culture will be affected or it will vanish. So that's the importance of the empowerment of the community, if there is any tourism and hospitality activity. And tourism can be a significant economic driver for communities as well. Again and again, we discussed this several times that because of this hospitality and tourism industry, it affects the community, especially in the area of the economy. Okay, because why? It will create jobs for the community, and also it fosters entrepreneurships. So there is a business opportunity if there's any establishment that were built in the specific area. Okay, so there are many small businesses will arise because of this opportunity. And also it stimulates local economies. So since there are many small businesses that will arise, so the taxes also will be contributed to the local economy. So it will enhance the life and also the economy of that area. So the more that there are tourists, it means that there are also establishment that will arise, and there are also small businesses owned by the community will also arise, and they will contribute this tax to the local economy. And when the local economy, I mean, um, local government unit will receive these taxes, so it will help to enhance or develop, for example, the infrastructure of that particular area. However, equitable distribution of economic benefits and avoiding dependency on tourism revenue are essential for sustainable development. So the community must not dependent only to the tourism and hospitality um, activities or industry. So they must not dependent only to the tourism and hospitality, because we don't know in the um, later on or many years goes by. So the tourism and hospitality, for example, establishment will no longer have this business operation in that area. So the community must also think other means to have this income, not just dependent on the tourism and hospitality industry. Okay, and now let's proceed to cultural preservation. We talked also this in the previous discussion. So tourism introduces community to diverse cultures and traditions that will lead to mutual learning and appreciation. And yet, there's a fine line between celebrating local customs respectfully and commodifying culture for commercial gain, and preserving authenticity is crucial. So again, the encouragement of this community towards the business owners, they want to maintain the culture of the specific area. But sometimes um, the business owners would suggest to the community that they will have some modifications of their cultures in order to attract more tourists. But the disadvantage of that part, it will affects the authenticity of the culture. So that is also the problem. And now there are some challenges in community development. Though there is a positive results if there is a tourism and hospitality in the specific area, there are some advantages, but also there are some challenges in community development. One of these challenges here is the cultural commodification, also the over tourism, as we have discussed in the previous discussion, and unequal distribution of economic benefits and loss of cultural authenticity. So these four are, we could say, the major challenges of this community development. Community development per se is a positive. Okay, that is a positive, that there is a community development, but there are, we call it, side effect of this community development, which are the cultural commodification over tourism, unequal distribution of economic benefits, and loss of cultural authenticity. So what are the strategies for the sustainable development? So this is an advantage because the community have this development. but there are some challenges. So what are we going to do, or what are some strategies that we can make in order to sustain the development? So this is one of the rule of a leader in a business, or we could say a manager. That is why you are enrolling in this program, hospitality management, because later on you will have this responsibility to manage any hospitality or tourism businesses. So to overcome these challenges, we need a multifaceted approach. So what are those approaches that uh, what we need to do in order to avoid this or overcome these challenges? First is engaging local communities in tourism planning. That is why it's very important, if you as the manager or the owner of the business, you should not just, if you decide something, you just not implement it right away. So what you're going to do is you need also to ask the opinion of the local communities. For example, you are from Bohol and you are planning to build a huge resort in Sikihor. So you travel to Sikihor, you talk to the architect, engineer, and other important personnel in order to build your resorts. But before you are going to build that resort, or you talk about the government, you need also to have an schedule to talk about or to invite the local communities with regards to your planning. Because there are some areas that you don't know that you need to address that. For example, if there's a problem, there are some problems that the government don't know about, or the engineer, architect, or other important person. But there are some areas that only the local community is able to see on that particular problem or areas or challenges. That is why we need to engage also the local communities in tourism planning. If you have some plan, you need to engage the local communities. Excuse me. Just like, for example, we have this in the school curriculum development. So we have this community development. We talk about the community development. In educational institution, we also have this curriculum development. Okay, curriculum development. So what is the curriculum? So there are different definition of curriculum, and one of the curriculum here is the list of the subject. As you notice, you as a first year college, you have different curriculum, or you have different list of subjects to the higher years. For example, the third year and fourth year, you have some different subjects offered. Okay, so there is a development, there is an enhancement. So the latest subject or the latest curriculum is you have this, yeah, curriculum, the first year BSHM program. So one of the ways of the administration or any leader of this program, before they will decide to change the subject, to transfer the subject from first semester to second semester, or to transfer the subject from third year to first year, they also consider the stakeholders. So they invited some students, they invited some business owners, they invited some parents, they invited some person who are working in the industry. So they are not just deciding a certain area and implement immediately. So what they are going to do is to invite the different group of people before they will decide something, so that it will become more authentic and it will become more, it has a good quality. Okay, so same with the tourism development. um, Before they will decide something, they will engage the local communities in tourism planning. So they make sure that there is no problem, or if there's a problem, it only it has only a minimum problem. So that is the strategy for sustainable development. They will engage local communities in tourism planning. What else? They will promote cultural exchange and education. What else? They will implement ethical tourism practices. And lastly, they will foster the partnership and collaboration among stakeholders. Okay, so now let's proceed to the case studies. So let's explore a few examples of successful community development and empowerment initiatives within the tourism and hospitality industry. So these cases highlights best practices and innovative approaches that have positively impacted communities. And now we are in the conclusion part. So community development and empowerment are pivotal in understanding the social cultural impact of tourism and hospitality. So responsible engagement that respects local cultures, involves communities, and ensures equitable benefits is key to fostering sustainable relationships between the industry and the communities it serves. I hope that everything is clear in this chapter 3 socio-cultural impact of tourism and hospitality. Bye bye.